The reason we started working with Exeter in particular is that they're very local to us as an organisation. So they have a really good view of sort of Cornwall and its sort of anomalies and its benefits. And in particular, it was really nice to be able to work with very sort of local people. So if we need to meet and have really good communication, then we could do that. I think it shows sort of a bit of investment as well within our sort of local area. But having that deeper understanding is a real benefit to working with a local company. This all started back in the 2000s when we started looking at health and home, and we've carried out various projects around damp and mold. And they've been really interesting projects because it's given Coastline an opportunity to sort of open our doors and sort of say, get experts in place. And I think that expert opinion of and the researching of different sort of aspects of housing have been particularly important in Coastline's sort of like relationship with the University of Exeter. We've carried out joint surveys, we've met with customers, we've done collaborations locally, and then we've published to the rest of the world what we found. And I do think there's a huge amount of value in that. But it's been a really interesting journey because, as we all know now, looking back, damp and mold has been a huge project, with the University of Exeter that's led it from project to project. And when you look across the country now, it is showing that sort of hopefully our research has helped sort of to back up the value in landlords dealing with damp and mold in their homes, and particularly sort of things around ventilation. So that the customers actually, their health and well-being isn't negatively affected by the actual dwelling they're spending so much time in. The Exeter team have been very good in terms of risk planning and looking at potential outcomes way before the sort of projects have started. We've spent a lot of time trying to mitigate as much risk as possible, and that includes sort of the risks to Coastline of things that we may unpick or discover within the different projects. And particularly sort of when you start to look at health and well-being outputs, we need to be really sort of careful about how we publish documents and make sure that everyone understands that this is not sort of it's some sort of blame culture. It's not trying to blame anybody for anything. It's trying to work out what are the best solutions. And the Exeter team have been really thorough with every piece of research they've done. And as a housing association, we're a really good landlord. Coastline is a good landlord, but we're not researchers, and that's really difficult sometimes to look completely inwardly and independently at your different parts of your organisation to work out what you could do slightly better and how you can improve that sort of customer journey. Exeter brings a professionalism, but also a real sort of background of ethics. And you can see that, in the way that proposals go through that sort of ethics committee to make sure that everything is being done in best interests. I think that's really important because it sort of sets out the sort of the stall before you've even started a project, and try to make sure that everything that you're doing has some value and sort of clear outputs. The breadth of the team's knowledge is astounding, really. I think that there are so many different technical aspects. I couldn't even start to sort of name them all, but some of them are incredibly gifted in terms of like working with customers. Others are amazing. When you look at the way that they can analyze data sets and come back with different sort of opinions on what might be going on with certain sort of data that's come through. And then you've got the sort of a leadership team who I think, are very open-minded. They're innovators. They want to know the next thing. They want to build things for the future. So they've got a huge sort of social value built into the whole team, including sort of all the senior team there. My advice would be take the first step. Jump in, talk to the university, find out where those sort of best sort of collaborations might sit, which teams they may sit with, and then see how that works, see if it works out. It's more than likely there's so much going on at the University of Exeter that you will align with multiple sort of areas, and sort of once you've got that sort of interest, that's really key to it all. I think it would be really difficult to run projects and continue even business as usual without having any research at all, to look at different and better ways of sort of getting information, changing your policies and strategies. I think that would be really difficult without researchers in the background to actually finding out lots of other things. Coastline Housing as the example, we're a housing association, we're not researchers. And we don't have those skills. We don't have those bits of software that they use as well, to sort of really unpick and delve deeper into sort of data and information. So my advice to any organisation was, if you're thinking of embarking on a project, even a small project, then I would go to the University of Exeter, speak to them, have a sort of chat through what you're trying to achieve. I think that initial sort of like experience will probably make you wonder a little bit more about the project itself and what the other outcomes could be, and whether it could be done much better with some researchers in the background and a little bit of a steer. And researchers are also all part of our communities, so they definitely have all those life experiences. They may not be Some may not be sort of technically experts in housing, but actually, I think certainly out of the outputs from Smartline, they know an awful lot about how housing should work, and how a property should operate, whether that's damp, mold, ventilation, heating, the rate of heating loss of a home, or the way that it heats up, and the various different ways of heating different homes. They've learned an awful lot, I think, themselves, but also brought a whole different sort of rich amount of value to us as an organisation.